I had crossed the line. I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. In my dreams and visions, I seemed to see a line, and on the other side of that line were green fields, and lovely flowers, and beautiful white ladies, who stretched out their arms to me over the line, but I couldn't reach them no how. I always fell before I got to the line. I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came up like gold through the trees, and I felt like I was in heaven. I think there's many a slaveholder'll get to heaven. They don't know better. They acts up to the light they have. I had 2 sisters carried away in a chain gang, one of them left 2 children. We were always uneasy. I never had anything good, no sweet, no sugar, and that sugar, right by me, did look so nice, and my mistress's back was turned to me while she was fighting with her husband, so I just put my fingers in the sugar bowl to take one lump, and maybe she heard me, for she turned and saw me. The next minute, she had the rawhide down. 'Pears like I prayed all the time, 'bout my work, everywhere, I prayed and groaned to the Lord. Most of those coming from the mainland are very destitute, almost naked. I am trying to find places for those able to work, and provide for them as best I can, so as to lighten the burden on the government as much as possible, while at the same time they learn to respect themselves by earning their own living. 'Pears like my heart go flutter, flutter, and then they may say, peace, peace, as much as they likes. I know it's going to be war. The Lord who told me to take care of my people meant me to do it just as long as I live, and so I did what he told me. I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came up like gold through the trees, and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. I had crossed the line of which I had so long been dreaming. I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. I started with this idea in my head: there's 2 things I've got a right to, death or liberty. In my dreams and visions, I seemed to see a line, and on the other side of that line were green fields, and lovely flowers, and beautiful white ladies, who stretched out their arms to me over the line, but I couldn't reach them no how. I always fell before I got to the line. I grew up like a neglected weed, ignorant of liberty, having no experience of it. Then I was not happy or contented. Every time I saw a white man I was afraid of being carried away. Quakers almost as good as colored. They call themselves friends and you can trust them every time. I would fight for my liberty so long as my strength lasted, and if the time came for me to go, the Lord would let them take me. Now I've been free, I know what a dreadful condition slavery is. I have seen hundreds of escaped slaves, but I never saw one who was willing to go back and be a slave. 'Twasn't me, 'twas the Lord. I always told him, I trust to you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me, and he always did. I had reasoned this out in my mind: there was one of 2 things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. Read my letter to the old folks, and give my love to them, and tell my brothers to be always watching unto prayer, and when the good old ship of Zion comes along, to be ready to step aboard. I think slavery is the next thing to hell. If a person would send another into bondage, he would, it appears to me, be bad enough to send him into hell if he could. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, The patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world.